Hi everybody, I'm Steve, advisor board member and former chief HR officer. I'm a little nasal today because I'm returning for some travel, and I believe a typhoid Mary or Marky seems to have been in my presence and infected me, but I'm going to grind through it. Anyway, today's quick take is on, am I on a succession plan? So let's get into that. It's kind of a big term that's a big bucket, and maybe we're not always as transparent about it in some companies as we should be. So a few hints for you today. Let's start out with a little succession planning 101. When should I worry about it? So if you're in your first 5 years, maybe not so much. If you're right out of college or whatever education you went through and you're getting to know the ropes, eventually this will be important. You need to know about it, but it might not be super important right now. Secondly, if you're in your 5 to 10 year phase, whether it's the same company or not, this is when it starts to become important. You should find out what system your company has and how it works. If you're in your 10 plus year phase, it becomes a lot more important. If you're heavily invested in your career, regardless of where you are, you're going to want to know where you stand in these systems. So next, what do they look like? They can be really complex and sophisticated in large organizations. And they may have things like grids and formal talent assessments and big meetings where they go through all the talent for the year. And if you go down the food chain all the way to an entrepreneur or a small family-owned business, there might be just a list of people in the owner's head or the leader's head where they think, I think this is who's next for whatever job. So, and then there's everything in between. And it becomes incumbent upon you to figure this out and find out. What are the big systems that you should be thinking about? There's about 3. There's number 1, what is the big evaluation? Is it a grid? I have a very amazing graphic to show you here. This is where everybody would want to be. Ultimately, if you want to be promoted, you'd want to be in the top right of any grid that they have. Sometimes it's a 9 box, sometimes it's 12. God only knows, maybe more by now. But this usually means best demonstrated leadership, most flexible, someone you can move around, and maybe demonstrated results. And then this is where you don't want to be. I don't think it's the opposite of this. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on it. So next, there is what I call replacement planning. That's maybe where the term succession planning comes from. And those are actual charts where they have people rated on their ability to replace certain roles and positions. And in that 5 to 10 year range is when you want to start worrying about whether you're on those. And then finally, there might be, this isn't always the case, but there might be sort of a talent watch list for up and coming people. And that's for you 1 to 5 year people. You'd want to know if that exists because you might want to be on those. We started looking for those folks pretty early in my former experience, and did some fun things with them, like meetings with the CEO and senior executives. You want to be invited to those things. Once again, good reason to get to know your HR person and ask how all that works. So to recap, so you got it, there'll be a talent assessment system, maybe a grid. There'll be most likely a replacement list for all the senior positions and sometimes the middle ones in the company. And then there'll be possibly a talent watch list. Those are the 3 things you should worry about. Now, what do you do to end up on one of these? And I think it comes down to all those great things your mentors, parents, people you respect, coaches have told you over the years that range from demonstrated commitment and hard work, and being the one that is there when no one else is, when times get tough, being the one that volunteers to take on tough assignments, and being generally pleasant. Something I had to learn early in my career. I wasn't always generally pleasant, and maybe a bit of a wise guy sometimes, but there's a time and a place for everything, and we all have to start learning self-control as we get older. So those are a few thoughts on all this stuff. Thank you to all of you who have been sending me suggestions on what to cover. I'm going to get to all of it. Hope this is helpful. See you later.